Today I will be taking up topics on auto transfusion, massive blood transfusion, and most importantly, the complications of blood transfusions or other transfusions reactions. So I will start with types of blood transfusions. There allogenic blood transfusion, which is the most common type of transfusions which we encountered or do every day. Then autologous blood transfusion and then exchange blood transfusion. So what is auto transfusion or autologous blood transfusion? From the very term, it has been seen that a process of collecting a patient's own shed blood, cleaning it, and giving back the washed red blood cells. Autologous blood is blood donated and received by the same person. So the benefits of auto transfusions are the clerical error is very little. The chance of clerical error is very little. Significant reduction in blood-borne infection will be there. We can have fresh red blood cells. Oxygen transfer to the tissues will be better and more cost effective. Now, mechanism of auto transfusion. As bleeding starts to occur, blood is collected through a suction line and collected in a sterile reservoir. The collected blood is then washed with a specialized instrument to remove contaminants and debris. This washed blood can now be safely returned to the patient, thus decreasing the risk and need for banked blood. By collecting all the patient's blood that was lost, the patient is able to avoid complications associated with blood bank transfusions and get on the right track to a healthy recovery. So, what are the indications of auto transfusions? The various surgeries can take help of auto transfusion like cardiothoracic, vascular, orthopedic, general surgery, gynecological surgery, urological procedures, trauma, organ transplantations, and selected neurosurgical procedures. Among these, most important are trauma, where the surgery is urgent and it may take time to arrange blood. Next is organ transplantation surgery and ultimately cardiothoracic surgery. These are the three operations, three specialties where we can have help of auto transfusion. Now I am going to the most important topic of complications of blood transfusion, rather transfusion reactions. So transfusion reactions can be classified as various ways. It can be classified as allergic, infectious, non-hemolytic, hemolytic. Among infectious, there will be viral, bacterial, parasitic infection, and in hemolytic cases, there may be acute and delayed hemolytic reactions. So again, transfusion reactions can be classified as immunological or non-immunological. Among immunological, there will be red cell hemolysis, either immediate or delayed, white cell related reaction like febrile reactions and pulmonary infiltrates, platelet related infections or reactions like post-transfusion purpura, plasma protein related reactions like anaphylactic shock and urticaria, others graft versus host disease. Among non-immunological reactions like disease transmissions, HIV, hepatitis B and C, syphilis, malaria, etc., septicemia, air embolism, fluid load, overload, and iron overload. Among the infectious agent which can be transmitted through blood transfusions are viruses, HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, HTLV1 and 2, hepatitis virus like BCE, A is rarely transmitted, B19 parvovirus, bacteria, parasites like babesiosis and malaria, and trypanosoma cruzi. Among non-infectious complications, there may be fluid overload and pulmonary edema. There may be metabolic complications like hyperkalemia, hypocalcemia, and hyperammonemia, acid-base abnormalities, coagulation abnormalities, hypothermia, immune complications, DIC or disseminated intravascular coagulation, and tissue hypoxia. Uh, it can be again classified as complications from a single transfusion and complications from massive blood transfusion. Among complications from a single transfusion, there may be allergic reactions, febrile transfusion reaction, Incompatibility hemolytic transfusion reaction, delayed hemolytic reaction, transfusion-related acute lung injury, graft versus host disease, alloimmunization, and post-transfusion purpura. Among infection, there may be bacterial infection, usually due to faulty storage, viral infection, mainly hepatitis and HIV, and parasitic infection like malaria. There may be air embolism, thrombophlebitis, and volume overload after blood transfusion. So now I will take up one by one. Allergic reactions are the most common type of transfusion reactions and occurs when the patient reacts to donated plasma proteins in the blood. Symptoms include itching and hives, can often be treated with antihistamines. Prophylactic administration of diphenhydramine and prednisone in patients with a previous history of allergic reaction may help. Rarely severe reactions may involve having bronchospasm or laryngospasm. In that case, you have to promptly discontinue the blood transfusion and you have to immediately give steroids and subcutaneous epinephrine that can help the patient to recover early. Next is febrile non-hemolytic reactions. It manifests as development of a high-grade fever during or within 24 hours of a transfusion. This reaction is mediated by the body's response to WBC in the donated blood. There may be general malaise, chills, nausea, or headache may accompany the fever. Because fever can be the first manifestation of a more serious transfusion reaction, the situation must be promptly evaluated and taken care of immediately. Patients with a previous history of febrile reactions should be receive leuko-reduced blood products, thus avoiding this reaction. Now, the most complicated and most serious of the all of the reactions are acute immune hemolytic reactions. These are most serious transfusion reactions. Patients' antibodies react to transfused RBC antigens causing intravascular hemolysis. This typically occurs with ABO or RH incompatibility. Symptoms include nausea, chills, anxiety, flushing, and chest or back pain. You can also diagnose this type of reaction in paraoperative patients receiving blood transfusions. So, anesthetized or comatose patients may show signs of excessive incisional bleeding or oozing from mucous membranes. The reaction may progress to shock or renal failure with hemoglobinuria. If a transfection reaction is suspected, the infusion should be stopped immediately. Identities of the donor unit and recipient should be rechecked because clerical error is the most common cause. Here, a repeat cross match should be performed according to complete blood count, coagulation studies, and serum bilirubin. Treatment includes maintenance of intravascular volume, hemodynamic support, and preservation of renal function. Urine output should be maintained at greater than 100 ml per hour using volume resuscitation, and possibly diuretics may be given. Alkalization of the urine to a pH of greater than 7.5 should be achieved. Then comes delayed hemolytic reactions. It results from an amnestic antibody response to antigens other than the ABO antigens to which the recipient has been previously exposed. Transfused blood cells may take days or weeks to hemolyze after transfusion. Typically, there are few signs or symptoms other than a falling RBC count or elevated bilirubin. Specific treatment is rarely necessary, but severe cases should be treated like acute hemolytic reactions with volume support and maintenance of urine output. Next comes another important and very difficult situation known as transfusion related acute lung injury, known as TRALI. May be one of the most common causes of morbidity and mortality associated transfusion. TRALI typically occurs within 1 to 2 hours of transfusion but can occur up to 6 hours from the transfusion. And it is actually sudden in onset, occurs within hours. So, chance of recovery and immediate attention should be there. Patients complain of shortness of breath and may have a fever. Support can vary from supplemental oxygen to intubation and ventilation. Though most cases resolve on their own, but severe cases can be fatal. This is actually seen in transfusion of platelets and fresh frozen plasma. Next comes graft versus host disease. It can occur after transfusion of immunocompetent T cells into immunocompromised recipients or human leukocyte antigen identical family members. This phenomena presents with a rash, elevated liver function test, and pancytopenia. Irradiation of donor blood from first degree relatives of immunocompetent patients and all blood for immunocompromised patients prevents this complication. Next, volume overload after blood transfusion. It can occur in patients with poor cardiac and renal function. It can also occur as a component of the transfusion associated circulatory overload known as TACO phenomena. Careful monitoring of fluid status and judicious use of diuretic therapy can reduce the risk of complication. Now we can have some discussion on complications of platelet transfusion. First of all is alloimmunization. Occurs in 50 to 70% of patients receiving repeated platelet transfusions. Presents as a failure of the platelet count to increase significantly after a transfusion. This mainly occurs in immunocompetent individuals who mount an immune response to platelet-specific antigens, which include class 1 HLA or human leukocyte antigen. Therefore, in patients meeting long-term platelet therapy, HLA matched SDP transfusion will slow the process, that is single donor platelet transfusion. Next come post-transfusion purpura. It is a rare complications of platelet transfusions seen in previously transfused patients and multipara. This condition presents with severe thrombocytopenia, purpura, and bleeding. Usually occurs 7 to 10 days after platelet transfusion, and usually it is a self-limiting disease. But if does not resolve on its own, plasmapheresis or infusion of IV immunoglobulin may be helpful. Now we're coming to massive blood transfusion. So what is massive blood transfusion? Massive transfusion is defined as replacement of the patient's blood volume with packed RBCs in 24 hours or transfusion of more than 10 units of blood over a period of a few hours. Massive transfusion can create significant changes in the patient's metabolic status. Infusion of large volume of old citrate containing blood that has undergone changes during storage is used for massive blood transfusion. Now, what are the changes? When blood is stored at 1 to 6 degrees centigrade, changes occurs over time with leakage of intercellular potassium, decrease in pH, reduced levels of intercellular ATP and 2,3-DPG in diabetes with increased affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen, degeneration of functional granulocytes and platelets, degradation of factor 5 and 8. So if a large volume of stored blood is infused rapidly, significant effects may be seen in the recipient. Many of the expected changes can be reversed after transfusion or may produce metabolic patterns different from those predicted. So what are the complications of massive transfusion? There is coagulopathy, which might arise as a result of platelet or coagulation factor depletion, hypocalcemia. This can be treated with 10% calcium gluconate. Acidosis or hyperkalemia can develop after massive transfusion in patients with hepatic dysfunction. Hypokalemia, hypothermia can be prevented with the use of blood warmers, and hypothermia can lead to dysarrhythmias and coagulopathy. So there is a serious complications of massive blood transfusion, but also massive blood transfusion can be needed in case of trauma or in organ transplantation. So there is a protocol known as Massive Transfusion Protocol or MTP algorithm, which is led by Bond Jewish Hospital. So where should you go for massive blood transfusion? In case of class 4 shock, an estimated requirement of blood more than 10 units. So you have to initiate it. But after initiation, if you have any adverse effect, or you can, if you achieve the following goals, you can stop it. Like if the patient expiration is very poor, or patient expiration is normalized, hemodynamic stability is attained, and everything is on the discretion of the physician. Next, what is the initiation of MTB protocol? First, you transfuse 10 unit of PRBC, 6 unit of FFP, and 1 unit of SDP. So this completes the transfusion. Assess the patient, and if the patient improves, stop there. But if it is not improved, then transfuse 6 unit of PRBC, 6 units of FP, and 1 unit of STB. Now, in that case, if the patient is not going to recover, you have to stop MTP. But if you see the patient is recovering, but there also the stability is not achieved as per requirement, you can go for another transfusion. That is, here should be 6 units of PRBC, not 10 units, 6 units of FFP, 1 unit of SDB, that is single donor platelet. Again, if you achieve the goal, you should stop the MTP, or if it is incomplete, that is patient is not having any recovery, you have to go for stoppage of MTP. So in that case, you should not proceed. So this in nutshell is our topic on blood transfusion. Now, undergraduate students can have questions on complications of blood transfusion or different transfusion reactions that can come as a long question. And for short notes, you can have massive blood transfusion and auto transfusion. But NMC guideline has changed something, so which will be in effect after 2 years, that is from 23. So here, there you can have a scenario, and you may have to write what type of reaction it is, and then you can be given the answer. As for example, you can be asked that a person after being treated with blood transfusion develop severe hemolytic reactions. So how will you manage? And what is the pathophysiology behind it? Again, complications of blood transfusion. How can you screen blood for infections? What are the infections that can be encountered after blood transfusion, and how will you prevent it? So these type of questions can come. So you have to go through the topic very uh, in very detail, and you may have questions with general pattern, that is straightforward long question, or otherwise you can be given a scenario, and you can be given the a question of problem based questions. The one part which is left, that is how to counsel patients and patient party for blood transfusion. So whenever a patient comes to you in moribund stage requiring blood transfusion, the patient is not in a position to get the details of blood. So you have to call the relatives or the near ones to give them in detail the need of blood transfusion, how will you transfuse blood, and what are the problems that can be encountered after blood transfusion. Again, you should remember that mismatched blood transfusion is a medico-legal offense. So before going for blood transfusion, you should have checked the particulars of the patients. You should match the blood group of the patient in the documents and also in the packet. You have to see the collection date of the blood or blood product and expiry date. And also you have to see whether that had been given to you with a proper condition or not. So all these things you should remember and go for blood transfusions. So with this, I am finishing this topic. You will have this presentation in my website, and you also can see the video in YouTube later on when this will be linked to my site. So this will finish our class on blood transfusion. Later on, I will take up the different classes according to NMC guideline, and I will give the intimation through my website. And you can also get back to me in my email ID, which is given in my website. Thank you.